There are facts you were never meant to know. A woman who spoke in a coma, a pizza that gets you high, and Snoop Dogg's book made entirely of rolling paper. You think you know the world? You've barely scratched the surface. Like a book titled Everything Men Know About Women, with over 100 pages, completely blank. No text, nothing. Why? Because it's a satirical take that suggests men understand absolutely nothing about women. Who wrote it? A psychologist trying to highlight communication gaps through humor. But what does it say about society? A male honeybee's final moment is the definition of going out with a bang. Literally. During mating, his orgasm is so intense that his reproductive organs explode, detaching from his body. And then he dies. That's right. Nature designed this tiny creature to sacrifice itself in the name of love. But why such a dramatic end? Imagine getting shot, not once, but twice, while delivering pizza. Most would quit. But not Richard Davis. He took those bullets and invented the Kevlar bulletproof vest, saving countless lives since. Who would have thought a pizza guy would revolutionize body armor? What happened in that delivery changed the world forever. Time travel might seem impossible until you fly from Tokyo to Honolulu. Leave at 7 in the morning, and thanks to the 19-hour time zone difference, you'll land around 8 the previous evening. No DeLorean required. It's not magic, it's just Earth's rotation. But does this strange loop mess with your biological clock? There are only 12 people alive who can remember every moment of their life. Every smell, every sound, every word. It's called hyperthymesia. These individuals don't just have good memories, they live inside it, constantly. Imagine remembering what you had for lunch 20 years ago. Gift or curse? That's the haunting question they ask every day. Ever notice something strange in Toy Story? Every character blinks, but never both eyes at once. Always one, then the other. Animators added this detail to give the toys a slightly surreal, quirky edge. Just human enough to feel real. Just odd enough to remind us. They're not. At the end of every year, fashion giants like Louis Vuitton and Chanel burn millions of dollars worth of unsold products. Yes, burn, not donated, not discounted. Why? To protect exclusivity and brand value. It's fashion's dark little secret. Better to destroy luxury than let it become affordable. From the sky, a rainbow isn't an arc. It's a full circle. But you can only see this if you're high above the earth, like in an airplane. Down below, the ground cuts off the bottom half. Nature doesn't bend the rainbow, we just see a limited slice. What other illusions have we been fooled by? Puma and Adidas might be rivals, but here's the shocking origin story. Both were started by brothers, Adolf and Rudolf Dassler, who were once part of the Nazi Party. A family feud split them apart, birthing two empires. Politics, betrayal, war. It's not just sportswear, it's a tale of blood, ambition, and survival. The youngest confirmed mother in medical history was only 5 years old. Her name was Lena Medina, and she gave birth in Peru in 1939. Doctors originally thought she had a tumor, but it was a baby. Her case still baffles science to this day. Ants don't just fight, they strategize. They send weaker ants first, use terrain to their advantage, and even stage surprise attacks. These tiny creatures wage wars with tactics eerily similar to human armies. Insects with military intelligence? It's not science fiction, it's nature. Dream of being an astronaut? There's a catch. If you're taller than 6 feet 2 inches, you're disqualified. Why? Because spacecraft are small and every inch matters. Tallness becomes a liability in space. So height might make you stand out on Earth, but it could keep you grounded forever. Is that fair or necessary? Jackie Chan is more than a martial arts legend. He's also a pop star in Asia. Since 1984, he's released over 20 albums and even sings the theme songs to his own movies. Who knew those intense stunts were backed by vocals just as powerful? Actor, singer, stuntman, icon. Coca-Cola was never meant to be a soft drink. In the 1880s, pharmacist John Pemberton created it as a nerve tonic to relieve headaches and fatigue. It was marketed as medicinal, and yes, it originally contained cocaine. Buying a lottery ticket? Statistically, you're more likely to die on the way to the store than actually win. Think about that. Billions hope for that 1 in 100 million chance. Yet the universe is more likely to take you out before granting it. We know more about the surface of the moon than our own oceans. That's not an exaggeration, it's a scientific fact. Only 5% of the ocean has been explored. Beneath the waves lies an alien world of darkness, pressure, and mystery. In chess, the word checkmate isn't just a fancy term. It comes from Arabic, Shah Mat, meaning the king is dead. It's not just a feat, it's execution. Chess is more than a game. It's symbolic warfare built on centuries of strategy, politics, and conquest. But in the end, the board claims every king. Voldemort isn't just a name, it's a warning. In French, it literally translates to Flight of Death. J.K. Rowling carefully chose every name in the series, but Voldemort stands out as a prophecy in itself. A character who tried to escape death, yet became its very symbol. Russia and Japan are technically still at war. That's right. They never signed a peace treaty after World War II. Decades of tension over disputed islands have kept diplomacy frozen. The war ended in 1945, but the paperwork never did. Potatoes, yes, potatoes, have more chromosomes than humans. Humans have 46. Potatoes have 48. Let that sink in. The humble spud is genetically more complex than the species that sent men to the moon. It's a reminder that complexity doesn't always equal intelligence, and that nature loves to play tricks on our ego. You might think no one's above the law, but in the United Kingdom, the Queen literally cannot be arrested, no matter what crime she commits. Why? Because the legal system runs in her name. The Crown prosecutes criminals, so it cannot prosecute itself. But here's the twist. This royal immunity doesn't apply to anyone else in the family, just her. Makes you wonder what secrets the Crown keeps hidden. In 2011, something strange brewed inside the White House. Literally. President Barack Obama became the first ever president to brew beer inside the iconic building. They called it White House Honey Ale, and it used honey straight from the White House garden. Who would have thought America's commander-in-chief was also its secret brewmaster? Think a pinky promise is harmless? In Japan, it used to mean something deadly serious. Breaking one meant cutting off your pinky finger. It was originally a yakuza ritual, a bond of trust where betrayal had a bloody cost. Next time you pinky swear, know that finger once held someone's entire honor. Twilight, the billion-dollar vampire saga, almost never existed. It was rejected not once, not twice, but 14 times. Publishers thought no one would read about sparkly vampires and awkward love triangles, but author Stephen E. Meyer kept pushing, and that persistence birthed a franchise that took over pop culture. Rejection was just part of the prophecy. The word Google actually came from a mathematical mistake. The term Google means a 1 followed by 100 zeros, a number so huge it's basically incomprehensible. When naming the company, a spelling error on a domain search turned Google into Google, and that typo became one of the most powerful names in the digital world. What if your biggest fear was your own greatness? There's a real phobia called the Jonah complex, where people fear achieving their full potential. Why? Because success can mean change, responsibility, and the pressure to keep winning. So instead of soaring, some people sabotage themselves. The scariest battles are sometimes within. Imagine saying 700 words and walking away with $15 million. That's exactly what Arnold Schwarzenegger did in Terminator 2. His iconic line, "Hasta la vista, baby," alone cost over $85,000. That's more than most people earn in a year, just for 4 words. Being a robot really does pay. Need a hug? There's a service for that. In some parts of the world, you can hire a professional snuggler for $60 an hour. These aren't shady deals, they're cozy, regulated services for people battling loneliness or anxiety. Sometimes what we need isn't therapy or advice, but just someone to hold us. In 2010, China faced a nightmare on wheels. A traffic jam on Highway 110 stretched over 100 kilometers and lasted 11 full days. Drivers were stuck for nearly 2 weeks, moving just a few meters every hour. Locals started selling food and water at inflated prices, turning the highway into a bizarre, slow-moving marketplace. This sounds impossible, but if you removed all the empty space in the atoms that make up every human being on Earth, all 8 billion of us could be compressed into something the size of an apple. Not a country, not a car, a single apple. That's how much nothingness we're made of. There's more gold under your feet than you could ever imagine. If scientists found a way to extract all the gold from Earth's core, we could cover every piece of land in knee-deep gold. But it would also crash the economy overnight. Some treasures are buried for a reason. One blue whale dive can burn up to 480 million calories. That's the equivalent of eating over 2 million cheeseburgers in one mouthful. These creatures are the largest animals to ever live, and they need insane fuel to power their titanic frames. Nature's giants don't snack, they devour. There are two parts of your body that never stop growing: your ears and your nose. While everything else slows down with age, those two just keep on stretching. That's why grandparents often have such distinct facial features. Time doesn't just leave wrinkles, it leaves souvenirs. Ever shopped at H&M? The name actually stands for Hennes and Mauritz. The brand began in Sweden as a women's clothing store called Hennes. It later merged with a hunting apparel store called Mauritz, creating the now famous fast fashion empire. So next time you buy that hoodie, remember it started with rifles and blouses. Here's something your PE teacher never told you. A human once jumped further than a horse. In the 1968 Olympics, Bob Beamon set a record of 8.9 meters, beating the longest horse jump by over half a meter. Sometimes evolution throws in a cheat code. Before Pixar made Finding Nemo, the entire animation team had to take graduate-level fish biology classes. Why? To make sure every movement, fin flick, and ocean detail was scientifically accurate. That's how deep Pixar goes for storytelling. They don't just animate fish, they become them. In Bern, Switzerland, there's a 500-year-old statue of a man eating a sack of babies. No one knows why it was made, who it represents, or what message it's supposed to send. It's called the Kindlefresser, the child eater. And to this day, it just stands there, silently devouring its mystery. Koi fish aren't just pond pets, they're time travelers. A koi named Hanako lived for 225 years. Born in the 1700s, she died in 1977. That means she outlived empires, revolutions, and 2 world wars, all while swimming peacefully in a pond. What stories she could have told? What if I told you the most iconic basketball film of all time didn't belong to LeBron, but to a cartoon rabbit and Michael Jordan? That's right. Space Jam still reigns as the highest-grossing basketball movie in history. It wasn't just about the game, it was Bugs Bunny, aliens, and nostalgia slamming their way into our hearts and box offices. Ever wondered what kind of beast the Beast really is? He's not just some random furry prince, he's actually a chimera, a mythological creature with traits from 7 different animals. You'll spot the mane of a lion, the tusks of a boar, and even the legs of a wolf. It's like Disney fused a zoo into one cursed prince. What do popping bubbles and interior design have in common? In 1957, 2 inventors created what we now know as bubble wrap, not for packaging, but as futuristic wallpaper. Yep, their original idea was to market it to decorators. Who knew failed wall art would become every online order's best friend? Type this in Google right now. Zerg Rush. What happens next? Google's own interface turns against you. Letters start to attack and eat your search results. It's an old Easter egg, a tribute to the chaotic swarm attacks from the game StarCraft. And yeah, your productivity is about to get wrecked. Imagine a movie theater where ninjas appear out of nowhere to silence you. In London's Prince Charles Cinema, that's not a movie plot. That's real. Volunteers dress in all black, blending into shadows, just waiting for someone to ruin the movie experience. talk or throw popcorn. Pixar almost lost an entire film, and it wasn't because of bad reviews. During Toy Story 2's production, an employee accidentally deleted huge chunks of the movie. Rebuilding it would have taken over a year, but in a miracle move, another employee had backed it up on her personal computer at home. That's what saved the movie. The first commercial flight lasted only 23 minutes and cost more than $8,000 today. In 1914, a short hop between St. Petersburg and Tampa, Florida, changed the course of travel history. Passengers paid a small fortune just to fly less than 40 kilometers. We've come a long way since. The best French Scrabble player in the world doesn't even speak French. Nigel Richards, a legend from New Zealand, memorized over 386,000 French words in just 9 weeks. He didn't learn the meanings, just spellings, then went on to dominate native speakers in their own language. That's mental mastery. 4,000 years ago, women had pregnancy tests using grains. In 1350 BC, Egyptian women would pee on wheat and barley. If wheat sprouted, it was a girl. If barley did, a boy. No growth, no baby. Modern science actually tested this, and it was accurate 70% of the time. Martin Luther King Jr. once got a C in public speaking. Let that sink in. The man whose voice moved millions and changed the world wasn't always the best on stage. Early on, his teachers didn't see greatness, but he kept going. Proof that even legends start somewhere uncertain. Tennis balls are high maintenance. At Wimbledon, they don't just pick any ball. Now they go through over 50,000, each kept at exactly 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Why? Because temperature directly affects how the ball bounces. Even a few degrees can throw off a match between champions. Here's something most cat owners don't know. Your cat shouldn't be drinking milk. Adult cats lack enough lactase enzymes to digest lactose. That means milk makes them sick, even though cartoons taught us otherwise. If you want to treat your cat, skip the saucer and stick to clean water. There's an actual word for the art of bell ringing, and it sounds just as fancy. Campanology. It's not just about swinging bells in churches. It's a real musical discipline, involving rhythm, physics, and some seriously buff forearms. Ringing a massive bronze bell ain't light work. Popes can't be organ donors, ever. Why? Because once someone becomes pope, their entire body belongs to the Universal Catholic Church. When they die, their body has to be buried whole and intact. Even in death, their body remains sacred. It's a rule that hasn't changed for centuries. A single average tree can become over 170,000 pencils. Think about that next time you sharpen one. That humble stick you write with came from a living giant that once reached for the sky. And now it's helping people write dreams, solve problems, and doodle in class. 90% of all Earth's ice is sitting in just one place, Antarctica. That means if that frozen land ever melted, sea levels across the world would rise dramatically. It's not just cold, it's the planet's freezer. And with climate change creeping in, the countdown is very real. In Italy, the mafia isn't just crime, it's business. With a revenue of over $178 billion a year, it makes up around 7% of the country's entire GDP. That means the mob makes more than most industries and some government departments. Ever notice how Tokyo, Beijing, and Seoul all sound kinda different? What if I told you they all mean the same thing? In their native languages, each name translates to the word capital. These cities aren't just iconic. Their names literally declare them as the heart of their nations. That ocean sound you hear in a seashell? It's not the sea. It's actually the sound of blood rushing through your own veins, amplified by the shell's curved shape. Your brain interprets it as waves, but the sea is never in the shell. You are the ocean, my friend. The human brain is faster than you think, literally. Your thoughts and neural signals race through your body at around 268 miles per hour. That's faster than most sports cars. So next time someone says you're slow, just remind them, your brain's outpacing traffic. In 1936, Soviet engineers built something that seems like pure science fiction today, a computer powered entirely by water. This hydraulic machine used flowing liquid to perform calculations. Why water? Because electricity wasn't stable everywhere yet. It was clunky, slow, and massive, but it proved one thing: genius doesn't need modern tools. Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft together store over 1.2 million terabytes of data. That's the digital equivalent of stacking every book ever written and then multiplying it by thousands. Your thoughts, your selfies, your secrets, everything lives somewhere in this unseen empire of cloud servers, silently watching the world. Cats might look curious and mischievous, but there's one thing they'll never crave: sugar. Their taste buds genetically lack the receptor for sweetness. So when your cat ignores your cupcake, it's not being picky, it genuinely can't taste it. Evolution simply didn't give felines a reason to fall in love with dessert. Your brain, that squishy 3-pound miracle inside your skull, performs over 1,000 complex processes every single second. It's faster than any supercomputer ever made. You're doing all of this, thinking, blinking, reading, breathing, without even realizing. And what's wilder, it does it all while using the same energy as a light bulb. Only around 15% of the world's plants grow on land. That means the vast majority are hidden beneath the waves, thriving in oceans and rivers. From microscopic algae to sprawling kelp forests, underwater life produces oxygen, traps carbon, and shapes entire ecosystems, all while staying mostly invisible to the human eye. 7,000 years ago, long before fast food or farming machines, people were already eating potatoes. These humble roots first appeared in South America, where ancient civilizations grew and worshipped them. Over time, potatoes crossed oceans and borders to become one of the most important crops in human history, and dinner tables. Covering nearly 1/3 of the Earth's surface, the Pacific Ocean is so massive that all the land on the planet could fit inside it. It stretches from Asia to the Americas and is home to the deepest point on Earth. If the ocean could speak, it would tell stories older than any civilization. Brazil isn't just named after a tree, or mine. It's named after a very specific one called the Brazil wood. This tree once produced a red dye so valuable that Portuguese explorers began exporting it in the 1500s. Eventually, the region itself adopted the name, making Brazil the only country named after a plant. You are up to 14% more likely to die on your birthday than on any other day of the year. Statistically, people are more prone to strokes, accidents, and even heart attacks on their birthdays. Whether it's psychological stress or just bad luck, your big day might come with a hidden risk. India isn't just famous for spices or spirituality, it's home to more vegetarians than any other country on Earth. With cultural roots in religions like Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, vegetarianism isn't just a diet here, it's a philosophy. Millions live without meat and still enjoy one of the world's richest cuisines. Beavers don't need goggles, pana, because nature gave them something better. Their eyelids are transparent, allowing them to see underwater while keeping their eyes protected. These natural built-in swimming glasses help them build dams, escape predators, and live their entire aquatic lives without ever losing sight of their next masterpiece. Indonesia is not just one country. It's more like 17,000 tiny nations scattered across the ocean. From Bali to Sumatra to Java, these islands hold unique cultures, languages, and ecosystems. It's so massive that some islands haven't even been fully explored yet. It's like a world hidden within a country. Mandarin Chinese is the most spoken language on Earth, with over 1 billion people using it every single day. It's not just a way to communicate, it's a living puzzle of tones, characters, and cultural history. Understanding even a few phrases means unlocking one of the most powerful languages in the world. Diamonds might be marketed as rare treasures, but here's the ugly truth: they're not actually that rare. A single company, De Beers, controls about 95% of the market and limits supply to artificially keep prices high. So that 1 in a million diamond, it might be one in thousands just sitting in a vault. Over half of the oxygen you breathe doesn't come from forests or trees. It comes from the Amazon rainforest. Known as the lungs of the planet, This massive green engine produces breathable air, filters carbon dioxide, and supports life across continents. But it's disappearing faster than ever, putting your next breath at risk. In Japan, Burger King took fast food to a strange gothic level by releasing two completely black burgers. The buns, cheese, and even the sauce were dyed black using squid ink and bamboo charcoal. Called the Kuro Diamond and Kuro Pearl, these burgers didn't just taste different, they looked like something out of a villain's kitchen. Scott Wade doesn't use canvas, brushes, or paints. His art lives on the dusty rear windows of cars. With just his fingers and a small brush, he turns dirt and grime into stunning portraits and landscapes. What most people rush to wash off, he turns into temporary masterpieces that vanish with a single wipe. Ferruccio Lamborghini wasn't born to build supercars. He started out making tractors. But after buying a Ferrari and complaining about its clutch, Enzo Ferrari insulted him, saying the problem was with the driver, not the car. Furious, Ferruccio decided to build a better car, and that's how the Lamborghini legend was born. Got a smelly shoe or gym bag? Toss in a dry tea bag. Seriously. Tea bags are powerful odor absorbers because they're full of tannins that suck in moisture and neutralize bad smells. It's one of the easiest, cheapest life hacks out there, and your nose will thank you in minutes. J.M. Barrie, the creator of Peter Pan, did something almost no one in publishing ever does. He gave away the rights to his beloved story, not to a person, but to the Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. Since then, every ticket, every book, every adaptation helps save children's lives. A California couple named Helen and Les Brown were both born on December 31st, 1918. They were married for 75 years and passed away just one day apart in the year 2013 at the age of 94. Their life journey became widely known for this incredibly rare coincidence. In the year 1939, the New York Times published a prediction claiming that television would not succeed. Their reasoning was that the average American family wouldn't have enough time to sit around and watch a screen, which in hindsight turned out to be one of the worst technological predictions ever made. Chuck Feeney, once a billionaire worth $6.3 billion, donated over 99% of his fortune to help underprivileged kids pursue higher education. By the end of his philanthropic journey, he had only around $2 million left, demonstrating a rare level of generosity and selflessness. Before alarm clocks were invented, there was a profession known as a knocker-up. These individuals would travel from house to house, tapping on windows or banging on doors with long sticks to wake people up. This odd but essential job actually remained in practice all the way until the 1920s. Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia, introduced a unique initiative to reduce student stress by opening a puppy room on campus. This room allowed students to interact with playful puppies, providing a scientifically proven way to lower anxiety and improve overall mental well-being during exam periods and busy college days. Tim Harris, a man with Down syndrome, owns and operates a restaurant in Albuquerque, New Mexico called Tim's Place. It's the only known restaurant in the world owned by someone with Down syndrome. The restaurant became famous not just for its food, but also for the hugs it offered customers. Scientists from ATR Computational Neuroscience Laboratories in Tokyo, Japan, developed a remarkable technology that allows thoughts to be displayed on a computer screen. This breakthrough marked an incredible step forward in brain-computer interface research and opens doors for potential communication tools for those with disabilities or neurological conditions. Joan Ginther, a former math professor with a PhD in statistics from Stanford University, won the lottery not once but 4 times. Her total winnings reached $20.4 million. Despite the astronomical odds of 1 in 18 septillion, she never publicly explained her method, sparking endless speculation. In the early 1990s, Michael Jackson attempted to purchase Marvel Comics. His goal was to produce his own film and star as Spider-Man. Although the plan never came to fruition, it remains one of the most surprising and ambitious entertainment moves ever attempted by a global pop icon. In 2013, The Netherlands closed 8 of its prisons due to a significant decline in crime rates. With fewer inmates and less need for incarceration, the country made headlines globally for being one of the few places in the world where the justice system appears to be working effectively. The word Lord appears an astonishing number of times throughout the Bible, woven deeply into thousands of verses. Its repetition symbolizes not just a religious devotion, but the cultural and historical weight it carries, emphasizing its importance in shaping entire belief systems over generations of human civilization. Ferdinand Magellan, the famous Portuguese navigator, gave the Pacific Ocean its name after experiencing its calm waters during his historic voyage. The word Pacific translates to peaceful, and this serene impression left such a mark on him that it influenced the naming of one of Earth's largest and most powerful oceans. Deep within Venezuela lies Angel Falls, an awe-inspiring natural wonder known as the highest, uninterrupted waterfall in the world. Towering above lush jungles, this breathtaking waterfall seems to fall endlessly, making it one of the most majestic and powerful displays of nature anywhere on Earth. In the heart of a desert in Dubai sits the world's largest flower garden, defying logic and nature. With over 500,000 fresh, blooming flowers arranged in intricate displays, it proves that with creativity, technology, and passion, even the harshest environments can become places of stunning beauty and life. You're not allowed to bring mercury aboard a commercial passenger airplane because of a surprising reason. It can corrode the aluminum used to construct the plane. This dangerous chemical reaction could compromise the aircraft's safety, making mercury one of the rare substances banned for such specific scientific reasons. If you toss an apple into the sea, it will float effortlessly on the surface. This happens because apples are less dense than water. Their airy interior allows them to stay above the waves, making them a fun, simple example of physics at work in everyday life. A newborn baby's body holds about 1 cup of blood in total, a tiny but vital amount responsible for oxygen, nutrients, and life itself. That little cup of blood is already doing everything it can to keep the baby warm, safe, and growing from the moment they take their first breath. Big Ben is one of the most iconic landmarks in London, but many people don't realize that Big Ben is not the tower. It's the massive bell inside. The tower itself is called the Elizabeth Tower, and the name Big Ben refers only to the bell that famously chimes. The literacy rate in Cuba is among the highest in the entire world. Nearly every citizen, regardless of background or income, can read and write. This achievement is the result of decades of investment in education and is a point of national pride for the Cuban people. As a human being approaches death, something profound happens. The sense of hearing is the last to go. Even when the body grows still and the eyes close for the final time, the ears may still pick up the voices of loved ones, offering one last moment of connection. Sharks are some of the most feared creatures in the ocean, yet their danger is often misunderstood. On average, they kill only a handful of people each year. Meanwhile, humans kill thousands of sharks every single hour, making us a far greater threat to them than they are to us. In a strange twist of modern danger, more people now die from taking selfies than from shark attacks. The pursuit of the perfect photo has led people into incredibly risky situations, from cliffs and skyscrapers to moving trains, showing how technology can sometimes turn everyday life into something deadly. Auschwitz was one of the most notorious concentration camps during the Holocaust. It's estimated that a significant portion of the Jewish lives lost during that time ended there. The name itself has become a chilling symbol of the horrors humanity is capable of when hatred goes unchecked. Pirates often wore eye patches, not to cover a missing eye, but to train one eye to see in darkness. By keeping one eye adjusted to the dark, they could move quickly between the ship's deck and its dim lower levels. It was a clever trick that actually worked. Astatine is the rarest naturally occurring element on Earth. In fact, the total amount of it found in the entire planet's crust is smaller than a teacup of sugar. Because it's so unstable and difficult to find, most people will never see or touch it in their lifetime. One of the strongest organisms in the world is actually a bacteria responsible for a common disease. The gonorrhea bacterium can pull thousands of times its own weight, making it one of the most powerful life forms on a cellular scale. Tiny but mighty, it redefines what strength really means. Humans and great apes are incredibly close in terms of genetics, yet one major difference separates us: our chromosomes. Humans have one fewer pair than apes. This small genetic difference may hold clues to what makes us uniquely human, including language, intelligence, and even consciousness. The Queen of England, through an ancient legal concept called crown land, technically holds ownership over a third of the Earth's surface. While this doesn't mean direct control, it does reflect the vast reach of the British monarchy's influence throughout history, especially during the era of colonization and empire. Ganymede, the largest moon in our solar system, is so massive that it's even bigger than the planet Mercury. Orbiting around Jupiter, this enormous moon has its own magnetic field and hidden oceans beneath its icy crust, making it a prime candidate in the search for extraterrestrial life. Antarctica might look like a land of endless ice, but surprisingly, it's actually classified as a desert. Despite all the snow and glaciers, it receives barely any precipitation in a year, making it one of the driest places on Earth. Colder than your freezer and drier than your imagination. By sheer size, Canada is almost equal to an entire continent. It stretches across so much land that it's only slightly smaller than all of Europe combined, with untouched wilderness, icy frontiers, and lakes that go on forever. It's a quiet giant in the world of geography. In the human brain, memory lives inside a part called the hippocampus. Interestingly, research has shown that this region is often larger in women than in men, suggesting there may be a biological reason why some women seem to remember every detail of an argument from 5 years ago. Amazon, once just an online bookstore, became the first company in history to reach an unthinkable financial milestone. Its growth from a garage startup to a global empire reshaped how the world shops, reads, and even talks to their smart speakers. Luxembourg holds a unique record when it comes to marriage. It has the highest divorce rate of any country. Meanwhile, in India, the bond of marriage seems to hold strong, with the lowest divorce rate in the world, showing just how differently cultures view commitment and relationships. Cats have been part of human life since ancient times. Long before modern civilization as we know it, they were already being adored and even worshipped. Thousands of years later, they still rule the internet and many people's homes. Penguins may waddle on land, but they're acrobats in the ocean. With explosive power in their tiny legs and sleek bodies, they can launch themselves out of the water in a gravity-defying leap that would make even Olympic athletes jealous. Cuba, despite being a small island nation, leads the world when it comes to healthcare access. It has more doctors per person than any other place, showing how a country with limited resources can still put human well-being above everything else. YouTube is a monster of content. With every passing moment, an overwhelming amount of videos being uploaded, and the world watches billions of clips every single day. From cat fails to life advice, it's become the most visited virtual living room on the planet. The United States, despite making up a small fraction of the world's population, holds a shocking percentage of its prisoners. Its justice system houses a staggering number of inmates, revealing deep-rooted issues in crime, punishment, and inequality. In southern India, there exists a unique place of peace, a spa not for humans, but for elephants. These gentle giants are pampered with massages, baths, and herbal treatments, honoring the role they've played in culture and religion for centuries. Mars may be a red, dusty wasteland, but if you were to step on it, you'd feel noticeably lighter. The weaker gravity would take a huge chunk off your body weight, making simple jumps feel almost like floating. A strange dream for those used to Earth's pull. When it comes to holiday tradition, fake trees have taken over. Despite the nostalgic charm of real pine, artificial Christmas trees are now the top choice for most families, offering less mess and more convenience, even if they lack the fresh scent of nature. Fort Knox is more than just a famous name. It's a fortress holding one of the largest collections of gold in the world. Hidden behind layers of steel and secrecy, This mountain of treasure represents wealth, power, and a deep rooted obsession with shiny metal. If you're stuck in London traffic, you might as well hop on a horse drawn carriage. The pace of the city's traffic today is no faster than it was a century ago. With horns blaring and tempers flaring, modern engines haven't done much to speed things up. When it comes to potatoes, the outside is where the magic happens. The skin holds most of the vitamins and nutrients, making it the healthiest part of the spud. So next time you peel it, remember, you're throwing away the good stuff. The Kuwaiti dinar holds the title of the strongest currency on the planet. Its exchange value makes it more powerful than even the dollar, giving the tiny Gulf nation an economic muscle that belies its size. Gravity does weird things to your body. Throughout the day, your spine compresses under its own weight, making you slightly shorter by bedtime. In the morning, you wake up a tiny bit taller, like a human accordion slowly closing. Misao Okawa of Japan earned the title of the oldest living person with a verified age. Her quiet wisdom and gentle presence reminded the world that longevity is not just about years lived, but about the stories and grace carried with every breath. Snails might move slowly, but their bodies are full of surprises. If one of their eyes is damaged or lost, they can actually grow it back. A tiny miracle of nature that shows how even the simplest creatures are full of wonder. Cats don't meow at each other the way they do with humans. That adorable sound is something they developed purely to communicate with people. Over time, they figured out it grabs our attention. It's almost like they're talking to us in a language they created specifically for their human companions. The wealthiest man in recorded history was an emperor from West Africa named Mansa Musa. His fortune was so vast that it said he disrupted economies just by visiting cities. If we adjusted for modern value and inflation, his net worth would be beyond comprehension, far surpassing today's billionaires. A large portion of all the gold ever mined came from a region called the Witwatersrand Basin. This area in South Africa was so rich in gold deposits that it shaped the economy of an entire country. Even now, the scale of mining that happened there remains nearly unmatched in history. Trypophobia is the intense fear or discomfort that some people feel when they see clusters of small holes. Things like honeycombs, lotus seed pods, or even sponges can trigger it. While it sounds unusual, it can cause real anxiety, and scientists still debate whether it's linked to evolution or psychology. Redwood trees are among the oldest and tallest living things on Earth. Some coast redwoods have lived for over 2,000 years, and they can grow taller than most buildings. These majestic giants are like natural skyscrapers, holding centuries of history in their towering trunks and silent, peaceful forests. Grizzly bears hibernate for an incredibly long period, often up to several months. During this time, they do not eat, drink, urinate, or defecate. Their bodies essentially pause normal functions while keeping them alive in freezing temperatures. It's nature's way of letting them survive long winters without a constant food source. There's a university called Oaksterdam where students can study cannabis. Yes, it's a real place, and people can actually earn degrees in cultivation and cannabis-related business. What used to be considered taboo is now part of education and industry, showing how fast perspectives can change with time and research. Strawberries are unique because their seeds grow on the outside, and the average one has around 200. But here's the twist. They're technically not even berries from a botanical perspective. Nature doesn't always follow our labels, and the more you look into it, the more you realize how strange fruits really are. Adolf Hitler once considered invading Switzerland during the war, but he abandoned the idea because the mountains made it almost impossible. The Swiss terrain was so challenging and fortified that even one of history's most aggressive leaders decided it was not worth the effort. Sometimes nature is the best defense. A group of ferrets is called a business. It sounds like something out of a cartoon, but it's the real term. These energetic little animals scurry around in chaos, so calling them a business feels ironic and hilarious. Still, it's a fun example of how quirky the English language can be. During the Cold War, the United States used a launch code for nuclear missiles that was just 8 zeros in a row. The reasoning was that it needed to be easy to remember and fast to input in an emergency. It's a chilling reminder of how close the world came to danger. Only a tiny fraction of an atom is actual matter. Almost all of it is just empty space. That means everything you touch, see, and feel, including yourself, is mostly made up of nothing. It's one of those strange scientific truths that completely changes how you see the physical world. There are millions of apps available to download on both the Apple and Android platforms. Every possible use, like from entertainment to productivity to learning, is covered. We live in a time where tools, games, and entire lifestyles exist inside phones, shaping how humans connect, learn, and entertain themselves every single day. There are over 20 countries in the world that operate without having a formal army, navy, or air force. These nations prioritize neutrality, diplomacy, or simply cannot afford a military. They prove that it's possible to maintain sovereignty and peace through alliances and policy, rather than sheer military strength. The Voynich manuscript is a mysterious book from the Italian Renaissance that no one can read. It's written in an unknown language or code, and despite centuries of attempts by cryptographers, it remains unsolved. Filled with strange illustrations and symbols, the book feels like it belongs to another world altogether. Yonge Street in Canada is the longest continuous street in the world, stretching from the shores of Lake Ontario all the way north through Ontario. It covers a distance that rivals major highways, connecting communities across a vast landscape and becoming a historic and cultural landmark in its own right. No one can fully explain why mosquitoes don't exist in Iceland. Despite the presence of stagnant water and relatively mild summers, the insects never established a population there. It might be the weather patterns or something about the water cycle, but it remains one of nature's odd little mysteries. Stephen Hawking was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness in his early 20s and was told he would only live a few more years. But he defied every expectation, surviving for decades while transforming our understanding of physics and black holes. His mind stayed sharp long after his body began to fail. In emergencies, planes have a system that lets them dump fuel from their wings. This is done to reduce weight before landing, especially if there's a risk of crashing. Lighter planes are less likely to explode upon impact. It's one of many safety systems built into commercial aviation. The sentence, "Sir, I demand, I am a maid named Iris," holds the record as the longest palindromic sentence. It reads the exact same way forward and backward, word for word and letter by letter. This kind of wordplay is incredibly rare, especially at this length, and requires careful planning to create. Cows are far more emotionally intelligent than many people realize. They form close bonds with each other, often picking a best friend in the herd. If they are separated from their chosen companion, they show signs of stress such as restlessness and lower milk production. Their social lives are surprisingly deep. A baby octopus can be so tiny that it fits right on the tip of your finger. At birth, many species are barely visible, smaller than a coin. Despite their size, they are already capable of swimming, hunting, and using camouflage. Their rapid growth and intelligence make them fascinating marine animals. In New Jersey, there is a restaurant owned by musician John Bon Jovi, where meals come without fixed prices. Instead of paying a bill, customers are encouraged to donate what they can or volunteer their time. It is a heartfelt project aimed at feeding those in need with dignity and care. Internet addiction disorder, often called IAD, is a recognized mental health condition where a person develops an uncontrollable urge to be online. It can severely disrupt daily life, from sleeping patterns to personal relationships. As our lives become increasingly digital, understanding and treating this disorder has become more important than ever. Cameron Diaz and Snoop Dogg were classmates back in high school in California. In a twist that sounds straight out of a movie, Cameron once revealed that she actually bought weed from Snoop. This fun and surprising bit of celebrity trivia shows how unexpected their early lives and connections really were. In 1961, Mel Blanc, the iconic voice of Bugs Bunny and many other cartoon characters, was in a terrible car crash that left him in a coma. Doctors couldn't reach him until they spoke to him as Bugs Bunny. He responded in character, and this bizarre method helped wake him up. The name Wendy was first introduced to the world through the classic story of Peter Pan. Before the publication of that book, there were no records of anyone named Wendy. The author essentially invented it, and since then, it has become a beloved name around the world thanks to the story. While it might look like a regular fruit, the pineapple is actually classified as a berry in botanical terms. This is due to how it forms from the fusion of many flowers into a single fruiting body. Nature often ignores human categories, and pineapples are a delicious example of this fact. Besides orange and purple, many other English words have no rhymes. Words like silver, month, ninth, pint, and wolf simply don't have any perfect rhyming partners. The English language is full of unique oddities like these, and poets often avoid such words because they are difficult to work into rhyme schemes. The word rhythm is the longest word in the English language that does not contain any traditional vowels like A, E, I, O, or U. Instead, it relies on the letter Y, which sometimes acts as a vowel. It's a strange and interesting word that highlights how flexible English spelling can be. Although these brands seem separate, companies like Audi, Bentley, Bugatti, Ducati, Lamborghini, and Porsche all fall under the same corporate umbrella, Volkswagen. This powerful automotive group owns some of the world's most luxurious and fastest vehicles, showing how large and connected the car manufacturing industry truly is behind the scenes. The word almost holds a special place in the dictionary because all of its letters appear in perfect alphabetical order. While it may seem like a simple term, it's a rare linguistic example where spelling and the order of the alphabet align in a way that's both clean and natural. The word uncopyrightable is the longest common word in the English language that doesn't repeat any letter. Although subdermatoglyphic is even longer, it's used mostly in medical fields. Uncopyrightable, and on the other hand, is something people actually use, especially in legal or creative contexts. It's a perfect example of linguistic uniqueness. I am is considered the shortest complete sentence in the English language. Despite being only 2 words long, it contains both a subject and a verb, meeting all grammatical requirements. It's a powerful and profound phrase that has been used in philosophy, religion, and literature to express identity and existence. Jacqueline Lucas, during World War II, faked his age and joined the United States military at just 14 years old. By 17, he earned the Medal of Honor after throwing himself onto 2 live grenades to protect his fellow Marines. Incredibly, he survived the blast and became a national hero. Out of the thousands of prisoners held at Auschwitz, a total of 144 managed to escape successfully. Each escape was incredibly dangerous, requiring stealth, bravery, and often outside help. Malaria has been one of the deadliest diseases in human history. Some researchers estimate that it is responsible for nearly half of all deaths throughout human existence. Transmitted by mosquitoes, it continues to affect millions even today, especially in tropical regions. Its long-term impact on global populations is almost unimaginable. Apples, peaches, and raspberries may seem completely different, but they are all members of the rose family of plants. This botanical relationship explains their fragrant flowers and sweet taste. Many popular fruits share this floral lineage, which surprises people and reminds us how deeply plants are connected in unexpected ways. The pygmy marmoset, also called the pocket monkey, is the smallest species of monkey in the world. These tiny primates grow to only about 5 inches in length and weigh just over 3 ounces. Despite their size, they are agile climbers and live high in the trees of the Amazon rainforest. All presidents of the United States, regardless of wealth or status, are required to personally pay for their own food while living in the White House. This includes their meals and groceries unless it's a formal event. It's a surprising but long-standing tradition that emphasizes the separation between government resources and personal expenses. Overmorrow is an Old English word that means the day after tomorrow. Although it's no longer in common usage, it still appears in dictionaries and is sometimes used in literature or poetic writing. Words like this show how language constantly evolves, leaving behind beautiful but forgotten gems from earlier times. Jose Mujica, former president of Uruguay, was widely recognized as the world's poorest president. During his time in office, he lived on a modest farm, drove an old car, and donated most of his salary to charities. His humble lifestyle stood in contrast to most political leaders and earned him global admiration. In Cambodia, some restaurants serve a dish famously called Happy Pizza. It appears like a regular cheese pizza, but is uniquely garnished with marijuana on top. This controversial food item draws attention from tourists and locals alike, and its legality varies depending on the amount of cannabis and how it's prepared. Snoop Dogg, known for his music and love of cannabis, once released a book called Rolling Words. The book features the lyrics of his songs, but it's not just for reading. The pages are actually made of rolling paper, so fans can tear out sheets and use them to roll joints. In the animated series SpongeBob SquarePants, one background fish character has appeared in multiple episodes with an oddly placed and clearly visible bulge. While likely unintentional, this detail sparked discussions among fans and conspiracy theories about hidden adult humor in the otherwise family-friendly show. The strongest beer in the world is called Snake Venom. It was created by a Scottish brewery and contains an astonishing alcohol content of 67.5%. This drink is so powerful that it's sold with a warning label and is typically consumed in very small quantities due to its potency. Every year on November 19th, people around the world can ironically observe Have a Bad Day Day. Unlike typical positivity-based holidays, this unofficial occasion embraces frustration and sarcasm, encouraging people to simply acknowledge when life isn't going their way and share some humor around daily misfortunes. Remarkably, the structure of a single human brain cell, the cosmic web of the universe, and the architecture of the internet all share similar patterns. These networks branch out in nearly identical ways, hinting at a deeper connection in the way nature, intelligence, and technology organize complex systems. The Indonesian Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries found that while a single manta ray might fetch as little as $40 if killed, its lifetime value in tourism could exceed $1 million. As a result, they established the largest protected manta ray sanctuary in the world to conserve the species. A group of turkeys is called a rafter. Though many people refer to turkeys in groups as flocks or gangs, rafter is the official collective noun. This term dates back to the 16th century and remains a quirky yet accurate piece of trivia for bird lovers and word enthusiasts alike. Russi Taylor, who voiced Minnie Mouse, was married in real life to Wayne Allwine, who provided the voice for Mickey Mouse. Their love story mirrored their iconic characters, and they worked together for decades, spreading joy through animation. Their marriage became a charming piece of Disney history that fans continue to adore. In Singapore, one Coca-Cola vending machine made headlines for offering drinks in exchange for hugs. Passers-by simply had to wrap their arms around the machine, and it would dispense a free Coke. The campaign promoted happiness and connection, blending clever advertising with a genuinely heartwarming experience for anyone who participated. Jim Cummings, the voice actor behind Winnie the Pooh, has made special calls to children's hospitals to comfort sick kids. Speaking in Pooh's voice, he brings joy and calm to those struggling with illness. His heartfelt outreach goes far beyond the microphone, making him a real-life hero in many children's eyes. In 1919, a young Walt Disney was fired from the Kansas City Star newspaper. His editor told him he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Ironically, this harsh critique came before he built one of the most iconic creative empires the world has ever seen. History had other plans. Black tomatoes may look genetically engineered, but they are completely natural. Their dark color comes from high levels of anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants. These tomatoes are believed to offer health benefits like reduced risk of obesity, cancer, and diabetes. They're nutritious, beautiful, and a stunning twist on a garden classic. Most cats prefer not to drink water that's located near their food bowl. This instinct likely developed in the wild, where water near food could be contaminated. To keep your cat hydrated, it's best to place their water source in a separate area from where they eat. They'll appreciate the distance. The Bible holds the record as the best-selling book in all of history, with around 5 billion copies sold over time. Its influence spans centuries and continents, touching billions of lives. From literature and law to personal belief systems, its words have shaped cultures and civilizations in countless ways. DC Comics once explored an alternate universe where young Bruce Wayne dies instead of his parents. In this dark version, Thomas Wayne becomes a vengeful Batman, and Martha Wayne descends into madness, becoming the Joker. The emotional reversal adds depth and tragedy to the Batman mythos in a hauntingly creative twist. The average iPhone, despite being sold for several hundred or even over $1,000 depending on the model, only costs around $200 to manufacture. This cost includes the components, labor, and assembly. The high retail price mostly comes from research, branding, software development, marketing, and profit margins. Some truths don't scream, they whisper, hidden in the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully pointless. And once you start noticing them, the world never looks the same again. But if you thought these were strange, wait till you hear about the things we believed for centuries. That turned out to be completely false. Click right here, and I'll show you.